Hey there folks, welcome to my Ships at Sea. First look, an all-new game by developer Misc Games. Ships at Sea is built with the Unreal 5 engine and is not too dissimilar from their previous games, such as Fishing Barents Sea and Fishing North Atlantic, whereas both of those were obviously fishing centric, and this has fishing as well as general shipping and boat operations, repair. I think there's some firefighting, cargo, and things like that. Now it's releasing in early access, like most games nowadays anyway, and Ships at Sea will feature multiplayer, service, and cargo vessels along with fishing based in the Norwegian Sea, or the Lofoten, which is a island chain near the Arctic Circle. Now, it's got all new water simulation in cooperation with NVIDIA and entirely new physics and buoyancy-based simulation from the other two games. Dynamic weather featuring rain, fog, lighting, you name it. It's got accurate local harbors and maps almost to the T. Licensed ships and equipment, DLSS frame gen and AMD FSR options, single player and multiplayer up to 4 people, open world map, and Lofoten, Norway archipelago is 46 by 46 kilometers scale. So that's 1:1. That's huge. There's also character customization, which we'll take a look at here in a moment. Misc Games was kind enough to provide me an early access key to take a look at the game to make a video. There is also a giveaway, which I'll link down below if you want to try and win this game for yourself for free, because free is free, especially nowadays, right? So the link down below, you simply follow, enter your name, I think your email address or something like that, and they will choose 5 people essentially from each channel that covers this game, I believe, and you can win a free copy. So again, free is free. So thanks, shout out again to Misc Games for providing the key. I've been looking forward to this for a while. I like me some ships and the ocean and the sea, anything to do with water and ship-based games, of course. Now there have been a few, but nothing really like this. It's either been fishing centric or something of the like. So this is pretty fresh and new. It's, you know, it's kind of like their previous fishing games, but a bit extra. So I'm not certain as of recording what the price is going to be. Now the release date is on May 23rd, 2024. And again, it is in early access. Things will change as early access games do, but the system requirements are not too heavy, although this being on Unreal Engine 5 would lead you to believe that they may be. So minimum is Intel Core i5-9400, AMD Ryzen 3 1300X, 8 GB system memory, GTX 1070 or an RX 5500 XT, 6 GB VRAM. Now the recommended is Ryzen 5 2600, Intel i7-10700, 16 GB system mem, and GTX 2060 or an RX 5700 XT. So that's I'd say that's pretty medium and middle ground nowadays, if you will. But we just went through the settings, and settings there are aplenty. I personally use DLSS in my playthrough that I've been doing, and it's been pretty darn smooth. I haven't had any hiccups at all, which is very, very nice. Now, one of the things you'll come to right off the bat when you start a game is you'll create your character, which is what you see here. And it'll kind of start with what we saw a minute ago when the video opened up, in a rowboat. Yes, you start in a dinghy fixing a buoy or a channel marker, which is pretty neat because it's just extra gameplay. You literally have to row out there, climb up the thing, open it up, you know, fix a couple of fuses, circuits, whatever, you know, bulbs, you name it. There's all kinds of stuff that you can do in this game, and that they plan to add to the game in later dates as well. But it's nice to be able to choose your character, and then from there you go into the office to figure out kind of what you want to do and how you want to proceed with your game. Now, you're not locked to any one thing, which is really, really nice. So you don't have to do fishing, you don't have to do cargo, you don't have to do firefighting, towing, anything like that. You can do one of each. You can get a different boat for each thing if you want. You're not locked in to one specific thing. So you don't hop into a specific lineage and you're just stuck with that the entirety of your career. That is not this game. You can kind of do whatever you want. Now you got to do things to increase money and XP. So you have to make money, you have to make XP. That's how you buy your boats, that's how you buy your upgrades for your boats, that's how you get different tier jobs and things like that. So it's got quite a bit going for it. It's not just completely open. You do have to grind a bit. Alright, so Ships at Sea is based in a very, very real place. It is in the Lofoten island chain within Norway near the Arctic Circle, which is a very, very remote place and largely untouched by man due to its remoteness and just being in the middle of the sea. For a millennium, these islands and the surrounding waters have been the epicenter of cod fisheries and cod fishing, mainly in the wintertime when the fish migrate from the Barents Sea to the south, which there was also fishing Barents Sea. The developers did that game as well. A lot of good fishing in that, naturally. And the surrounding waters are also home to massive, massive oil reserves, which cannot be touched. Any kind of drilling at all is highly, highly prohibited. So it's a remote area within Norway with a massive, massive fishery. So once you have done your tutorial, which I believe you can skip if you want, you'll start in the town or harbor, seaside town of Roost, which you can go right to your shop where you're going to pick up some things that you may need down the road once you have at least the money to purchase them. And then you go over to where you can start actual jobs. So this is the item shop where you can go and buy things, bulbs, replacements, power drill, smolt, fish food. And then you go over to the next door, and that is where you actually pick up the jobs that you want to do. So there is a bit of everything. There's cargo, you can pick up trash, there's whale watching, a lot of delivery and a lot of cargo, which can be interesting, and some of it is quite far, along the island chain itself. And you use a crane for certain things. There's different sizes of cargo. You can get rescue or towing services, as well as insurance and loans if you want to go ahead and purchase one of those big boats right out of the gate. So within the game, there is also leveling up. So you will have your skills or your license. So currently that says class 5 on mine. It'll show your different missions that you've completed. You've got your skill tree, which all you can pick how you want to, however you want to play your game. I would go for eco driving as the first couple because it'll save you on some fuel. But there are a ton to go through, a ton to work towards, and they work with multiplayer as well. You can also see in the tabs on the top, you can look at the types of boats that there are, and then there's also a help tab. So if you have no clue, say you want to do long line and catch a specific fish, literally all you have to do is click that help tag, look at the fish, look at the boat, and it tells you every single thing you need to know to get your job done. Back to player and boat customization, there is that as well, where you can choose how your character looks, whether you want them to look like General Sea Captain, like they're doing some sort of fishing or something like that, and the boat as well. You can see the little dinghy floating over there, Romeo, which is the thing that you literally start with unless you take a loan and buy a boat, which you'll most likely need to do. So you'll need to go in your shipyard at all times. Your boat you have selected will be displayed there. This right here at the locker is where you can control your name, what your character looks like, what they're wearing, things like that. I believe this will be upgraded over time. There will be a lot more options given to this as well. But you can see dock worker, fisherman. There's all kinds of just different general looks that you can give your person. But currently I have the dinghy sitting over there, which that's what you start with, but you got to start cracking, you got to start making money. So over here is your computer where you will access all of your upgrades. So if you want to access upgrades for your current boat or outright purchase a brand new boat. So you've got all different types. You've got cargo, you've got repair like towing, and then you've got fishing as well. And currently there are only two tiers, I believe. There's tier 1 and tier 2. And they do get quite expensive. So that one you can see is almost $7 million. It's also going to tell you everything you need to know about the boat that you may be interested in purchasing. And then right here, you can go ahead and go through things like changing the name, the font, the color, things like that. I couldn't really think of much at the current time. Some of these have a weird location with the font where they get hidden, or they'll kind of reflect on other bits of the model and things like that. But you can change it, which is nice. And then there's other customizations, such as things inside, such as your wheel and the wheelhouse, you know, your throttle handles, throttle controls, things like that. And then, of course, you've got general upgrades like internal fuel tank, which you will definitely need once you get some of those farther jobs. More powerful engine, which is obviously nice to have. And then it's, you know, from there you can deck it out with what you want. So if that boat can tackle a couple of different things, you can set it with a water cannon. You can get an external fuel tank to carry fuel between ports, all kinds of stuff. But right now it's kind of limited as far as, you know, customization currently, but there is quite a few things that you can mess with just to spend your money on and kind of make it your own boat, if you will. Also be aware, there is damage in this game. You can take damage and you can flip your boat over, which is what I'm about to demonstrate here. So this is one of the faster boats here. This thing is pretty darn quick. You can just whip it around like nobody's business. But I just headed straight for this tiny little rock in the middle of the sea just to see what would happen. So you can already see the boat is kind of damaged in the bottom right. It just took an absolute chunk of damage out of that hull. And we are now Titanicking. We have gone under the surface of the ocean, and you can see the thing floating upside down. Now, I'm not sure if this is how the final product is supposed to be, because as of right now, you can kind of tell it looks a bit funny. So we're standing right side up. I feel like this is a Pink Floyd song or something somewhere in here, and it just looks a bit odd. I feel like it should automatically take you back to port and take some of your money or something like that, because it literally just sat here. I think I had to go back you know, and quit and start over, but you can see here that you can still throttle up and move around, and it's quite ridiculous. Now, it does take quite a bit to flip the thing over, but it can be done. Another neat part of the game and gameplay is cleaning. So I don't know if you have to clean your boat, but I'm thinking it may kind of lose some of its seaworthiness and quickness gliding through the water itself. So after you spend some time out at sea, it will get cruddy. I don't think you'll get like barnacles and things like that growing on the bottom as you would in real life if something sat in the water long enough, and just that general crud. But it just will get grime that you'll get all over the boat. So you can take your trusty pressure washer over there and just kind of blast all the fish guts and everything off of the boat, especially if you got a fishing boat and you're, you know, on the deck doing stuff like that, guts all over the ground. You can get up in there and do that as well, and it does change things. So you can see it's a bit grimy, and you kind of pop one spot and then it goes back to that kind of stainless steel shine to it. So it's just another little neat touch. I'm not sure how much it actually changes the way that you play, or if it affects anything at all, but it's just something extra you can do just to keep your boat looking nice and fresh. Now, one of the things I would recommend doing when you start off, and like I said, you can do whatever the hell you want. It's your ship. You can play how you want to play. But what I would recommend is cargo, and close cargo. So you take your jobs from the door in roost, the left door if you're facing the building, and then you choose cargo. So the good thing is if they're close, you can grab 2 or 3, provided your boat can hold enough or has enough storage on board to put the cargo or the boxes. So this is what would be considered small cargo. So you would take the job, you literally take each one by hand, take it from the dock, put it on the boat. It gets tiresome after about the 3rd time, but it's easy, and it's an easy way to make money. So once you got your jobs and you've got your cargo on the boat, simply get on your boat, then look around, familiarize yourself, all that kind of stuff. There's a couple of things you can interact with on the boat, but it's somewhat limited. depending on the tier and the price of the boat as well. So the cheaper boats, there's just a little bit less than the bigger boats, obviously. I mean, you get what you pay for, right? So you're going to take your cargoes. You're going to get out of where you pick them up. You're going to get on your map, take a look at where they're supposed to be delivered. There should be some spots that are identified on the map itself, so you can easily see where you're going. And the horns sound nice too, might I add. So each boat has got its own horn, and some of them do sound like maritime horns, so they're nice horns at that. But yeah, you're just going to head on out of the town, go out to the surrounding islands, because these are people that live very remote. You know, they have boats themselves, obviously, but you can't hop in the car and go down to the shops and get your milk and bread and things like that. So you're just going to make your way island to island. As I mentioned before, you can grab 2 or 3 of these jobs, make an easy 60,000 kronen almost immediately, and you'll be laughing in no time. Something else you're going to need to do is fuel your boat. You're going to have to keep it fueled up as well. So there are several fueling stations all over the island chain. There is the main one, which is the one we are currently at. So it's going to be right by Rust, the town that you start at, where you get your jobs, where you shop, all that stuff. It's the biggest tank. And the fuel here is pretty much unlimited. It's not cheap, though. Don't take that the wrong way. It does cost quite a bit of money. So plan your navigation out well. So along with there being the main tank, which we're currently at, there are kind of satellite tanks as well that start out with fuel in them, but once you deplete them, they will stay empty. Therein lies why you need to get an external fuel tank and then start shipping the fuel between spots. So you got your cargo, you got your fuel, now you got to make your way to wherever your deliveries are supposed to go. So this one's here. It's luckily not too far. I think it's about half a nautical mile maybe. But some of them are tricky because there is wind and current. Now, while I don't believe it's in any kind of realistic manner or from a database like a National Weather Service or something like that, it is random. So it can change at any given time, any given moment, any given day. And it will kind of smack you around a little bit if you're not ready for it. So you really need to be careful docking, because it will damage your boat. Now, that's one of the big downsides I'm not too keen on currently, is how much it damages your boat. You've got floats, tires, buoys, things like that on the side of your boat for these very reasons. So when you lightly scratch into the dock and it takes like 2 to 3 bars of health off of your boat, it's a bit irritating. So hopefully that will be backed off in the future. Because you'll be doing quite a bit of this. This is really the bread and butter when you start off, if you want, like I said, instead of going right to fishing or something like that, is cargo. And you kind of get your feel of the map and things like that. So that's cargo. Another neat portion of the game is things like tourism, or making money or aiding tourism on the islands, because this place does see quite a bit of tourists per year. I want to say it's like 1 million or something in the general island chain overall, but it's a lot. So one of the cool things you can do here is take tourists whale watching, and yes, you will see whales. So you'll need to select the mission. Of course, you will need the appropriate kind of boat. A wide open deck such as this one that can host people. Sadly, you don't see any AI people on board, but you're going to get them. They're going to embark. You're hopefully not going to scrape the side of your boat all down the dock like I am currently doing, and chucking some of these folks overboard to an early demise. And then you're going to head out to the grounds where whales were spotted in hopes that you see some. Again, a lot of this should be indicated on your map, but there it is. We got there, and there was a whale. You got to drive around a little bit and see if you can find it, but it looks like possibly a humpback whale. Now, this is the second one of these I've done, and the first time I saw 2 whales, so I think it is dynamic and it can change, but I wish you did see them a bit longer, or if you could kind of like follow alongside. But that's it. You see the whale, hopefully it doesn't tip the boat over, and then you take the folks back to port and you get paid. Another cool thing you can do is fish farming. So these are dotted all over the map. There's some pretty close, there's some pretty far, but it's basically as it sounds. You breed fish and kind of help sustain the fishery and things like that. So you'll need, again, the proper boat. You'll need to go to the tool shop or the job board. Actually, you don't need to go to the job board when you do fishing. You just need to set your boat up to do the specific job that you need to do. So here you're going to want to buy smolt for the tanks, and then you're going to want to buy fish food as well to keep the fish happy at the fish farms. Once you get all your stuff, you're going to want to proceed to figure out which farm you want to purchase. So like I said, they're all over the map, clearly indicated like this. Each one is 500,000 monetary units within the game. And that's a lot. So you're going to need to make some money to be able to buy this. But you need money to make money, right? And once you do that, you kind of keep it going and sell the fish eventually. But let's get out to this fish farm. Now, once you get all that in order, now's the part that's fun, depending on what you may consider as fun, personally. But it's neat to be able to use the cranes. It's kind of got like some SnowRunner vibe or construction sim vibe when it comes to this. But they can be a bit finicky. So you're going to need your fish food, and it's quite a bit. So these are gigantic 500 kilo bags. And you can put them pretty much anywhere on the boat, but you got to make sure once you get it down on board on the deck, that it should be somewhat level near the center of the boat, and the hook should unhook, and then you just continue loading. So here we go. We are pulling up to the fish farm, the area that we purchased anyway, and we're going to get this machine going, get the food and feed going. And this can be tricky, guys, actually docking. Once you do that, you get on your little floating fish and net island, and you start loading the bags of food in there, and you set up your farm. And it's kind of an automated process, but you got to make sure you keep these things fed. Another thing you can certainly do is fish and not farm the fish. So I'm setting this boat up for long line, which is one of the cheaper, easier boats, and you can get your long line set up and start fishing almost right away with minimal money. So you're going to want to set your boat up first and foremost, and then go get bait and things like that, which are not here. I'm at the incorrect spot. So you're going to want to turn around, head back down the dock towards the gigantimous crane down here, the red one. Hook a left, and this is the fish company, if you will. You're going to go to that door, and this is where you're going to purchase your gear, whether you want some of the small long lines or the chungus ones, and then you're going to get your bait as well. This is also where you're going to sell your catch. So once you get your catch on board, you're going to bring it right back here, sell it, do the process all over again, and you can grab your nets for net fishing there as well. And as mentioned before, everything you need to know is in your tab. So hit the tab key, go over to help if you need some help figuring out what fish you need to catch, what kind of bait they take, or what they like to eat, and also the season. Now, the big thing about the season, in some of the other games, I believe you can get fined, like the actual fishing games. In this, I think it'll just come down to how much you'll get paid. So if it's not quite in season, you may not get paid anything at all, or you could get fined. So head out to the fishing grounds. They'll be denoted with the icons, which you can see, and go for whatever you're looking for. So cod, pollock, catfish, things like that. And then go ahead and head to the back and get your boat ready with the buckets. They were kind of hard to find where you put them on board. So you kind of just got to feel around and see where the prompts come up, and then you hit the key, and then you load it up, and you basically drag out your line and you start fishing. Now it tells you how long these should soak for. I know in previous games it was like half a day, I think like 12 to 16, 17, 18 hours or something like that. I'm assuming it's roughly the same. And before, it would also show you, and when I say before, I mean their previous fishing games, the buoys. So the buoys on the map would actually change color. So it would be indicative of whether or not they had nothing on them, or if they were full, or if it was getting too old, fish were dying on the line, and things like that. So you go ahead and go back here, you grab your bait. As you can see, I'm fumbling around with this. Choose the bait type. Now you got to make sure which one it is, because as of now it's just like this kind of weird block of bait. Hopefully they'll change that as well. It doesn't look very good. And it all just kind of looks like that. So once you get it set up, you can set one on the starboard line here, which will kind of fumble around and figure it out here. Nope, that's not it. Nope, let's not stick it in there. Let's not throw it overboard. It's going to be right over here on the aft starboard. Just past it. Go back. Nope, don't want to throw it over the back. Aft starboard. Brain fart. Nope, put it back down. Here we go. There it is. It's in the bucket. Once you do that, you hit the key and it'll start casting the line. Alright, so what you're going to want to do is after you've got your gear soaking, as they say, you're going to want to skip time or sleep. So click on the clock in the wheelhouse and that will have you sleep. You can choose how long you want to sleep, basically change the time of day, go forward, fast forward time. After you do that and they've soaked a while, go to your buoy, your marker, whatever you're hauling back on board. I had no clue here how to do this exactly. You've literally just got to wait for the prompt. There it is, start hauling, and the fish should start coming up. Now, in their previous games, I keep mentioning their previous games because they were fish-centric 100%, is you had to whack them with the fish hook to get them off there. I don't think that is currently the case. As you can see, I'm kind of looking around here dumbfounded, swinging that thing in the air for no absolute reason whatsoever. I think this is largely an automated process now, and they will go in the ship's hold. Now, depending on how many fish you got, obviously, you should be able to haul them all back to shore, and then you sell your catch, and then you upgrade your boat, buy another boat, upgrade that boat, so on and so on. So that's just a couple of the things that you can do within ships at sea. So in just a generalization section of the video now, we'll just kind of go over some things and some talking points and key things I hope are fixed or added and whatnot. But first and foremost is the multiplayer. So that's one of the big takeaways with this game. Currently, there are no kind of open or dedicated servers, sadly. It's all going to be with your friends. So basically what you got to do is be friends with someone on Steam, and you would invite them to your game, and then you can play together just like you would in the single player. Now, visually, the game absolutely does look stunning. This is like a new age, graphics-wise, being the Unreal Engine 5, which they recently updated as well by the developers, Misc Games. And it shows. It is a damn good-looking game. The lighting looks very nice and moody. It's definitely got a vibe to it. Not to mention the water. So let me try and advance day here. So we just got on one of our ships, or our boats. Where's the time? Rest. Now, you're also in the Arctic Circle, so time of day is kind of weird. The sun, some times of the year is only up for an hour or two, and vice versa in this area near the Arctic Circle. So it's still kind of snowing. It is, what is it? May? No, it's April. So April 20 to 24. April the 3rd, 24. Finally got that one out, thank God. But it's currently snowing now. You can still see the sky. The sky does look fantastic. And just this general area, I was very much impressed with the general area and the way the aesthetic looks in these small fishing villages in Roost, which is kind of the major hub for this general area anyway, because this area within the Lofoten Archipelago is in the very kind of south, just very, very end of that little island chain. So it's no man's land out here pretty much. But just the way the buildings look, the way the boats look and whatnot just look very, very nice and on point. Let's get in this thing. So it's somewhat daytime. Let's go ahead and get out of Dodge here. Some things that can go wrong as well with some of the bigger boats are your fuses. So you'd open your fuse cabinet. You could lose lights, things like that out at sea, and you would need to change that. So you would want to make sure you have them on you. I currently do not. So that's your inventory you hit with the I key. We'll go ahead and close that back up. And we'll just head out to sea and talk about some of the things I hope are, brought within the game or kind of fixed, just to make it a bit better. Accidentally entered camera mode somehow. I'm not sure. Let's go V. No, that's not what I wanted. We'll hit X. There we go. Get in the seat, man. There we go. So this is the exterior view, which you can change with the V key. So in and out. Go ahead and fire this puppy up. On dock. And scooch away. So that's one of the things that shows you right off the bat the kind of speed or inertia at which the thing just took off like a scalded dog. I mean, it was a bit too quick. Now, I get, you know, some tugboats, some modern day tugboats and things like that have directional thrusters and can kind of move like that, but a lot of these boats generally are not that and cannot do that. So it would be nice if that was kind of taken down a notch. The boats take a bit too much damage as is. A lot of what you're doing, especially with the, you know, doing things like your cargo and whatnot, it can be a problem because, you know, if you're way out to sea, you know, 7 or 8 plus nautical miles away from home base, or you don't have your tow service set up, you can be in trouble. I mean, as you can see, this boat is already in the orange, and that will start to affect, I think, your maneuverability, how much liter per hour you use of diesel fuel, you know, and your overall speed. So I wish that would be toned down a little bit because some areas are a bit hard to dock, sadly. I also had some issues where if I ran into a problem or ran into some trouble and I had to be towed back to port, which you can do with the... Okay, for whatever reason it's not showing it, but you have a radio in there, which you turn the radio on and you call for help and they'll tell you back. I had a job with stuff in the back that I was delivering and that just disappeared, so I kind of lost the job. Now you weren't negatively impacted, but you just didn't make the money and you just kind of had to do everything all over again, which was a bit sad. The other thing I wish that was done a bit better was just the interactability. I mean, everything within this game is just basically clicking E. You walk over, you click E. You go over here, you click E. There's really kind of no motion or animation to some things. To get on and off the boat, you look at it, you click E. To get on the dock, you look at it, you click E. To tie up on the dock, you look at it, you click T. Yes, that is a different keybind, but it would just be nice if there was some interactivity, just a little bit different there. All things said, but damn, this does look very nice. I'm not sure where the snow is coming from, being that there's not really any clouds in the sky, but the sun do be looking very moody on the horizon. There's also some weird hit boxes as well as far as the movement, and that goes hand in hand with docking and getting off your boat and things like that. You know, the buildings, boats, and the sea and terrain all look great, so they could definitely build upon that. It's a pretty good base and standard so far. The water physics are pretty nice, although they could be toned down, which they have already done, to be fair, quite a few times. Some boats do seem like they ride a bit high in the water, namely the one called the Conquest, or my naming of it, the Chungus. The big fishing boat, I mean, it literally rides like 2 inches draft, which is a bit ridiculous, and it's very flat. Some boats have a very weird kind of maneuverability to them. This one isn't too bad. It kind of leans in, as you can see there, but some boats just simply do not, and they will stay absolutely flat, which just looks a bit ridiculous. But the water looks so good as well. I know it's kind of hard to tell with this moody lighting, but this is some of the best damn looking water that I have seen in any game, especially a ship game. You got some of the spray and the foam, you know, flinging off the back of it. It does look pretty good. Although some boats leave a absolutely massive wake behind, which kind of looks a little ridiculous, and I wish that would be toned down as well. But it is what it is, and again, it's early access. So it would be nice as well if the water and the weather had actual conditions and forecasts. So in their previous games, you could kind of see what was coming up, you know, for the next month or the next hour, next 6 hours, things like that, and prepare for it. This is just completely random. I know it's on a different game engine, being the Unreal Engine, which their 2 previous games were not, so that could have something to do with it. But some sort of forecast would be nice, you know, if it's stormy, high seas, things like that. I mean, those affect fish biting as well and fish movements very heavily in real life. So that would be nice, but it's currently not a thing. Shop icons would be nice as well. So currently when you look at the map, They recently updated this as well. They didn't used to have the names up here, but they finally put those in. You know, it'd be nice to have shop icons so you can see where's what. I literally have no idea what's over here in Stavoya or down here, so on and so forth. I only know what's around Roost right here. That and the fueling station. So here's one of the small ones, which I was talking about earlier, like your satellite fueling station, which you have to resupply once it's depleted yourself. It doesn't show you, but the big tank is right there in the middle, right north of Kveldspita. I think I said that right. So it's like right above the A in Kveldspita, but it doesn't show that on the map. So you got to kind of search around and find it. It's a bit weird, you know, in that respect as far as the map. It's cool that it's got purchasable upgrades and items which are helpful and which kind of increase the playability of the game. Because otherwise, if it was just all wide open, there really wouldn't be any reason to play unless it was just multiplayer and everything was wide open. So that would be cool. I like that it has actual channel markers and nav beacons. They are lit at night, so when it's dark or early morning, you can definitely see them lit or, you know, blinking if they are blinkers. The other cool thing about those is you can go and repair them. So far, I think the only way you can repair them is with the little dinghy, the dingus dinghy, the rowboat, which kind of stinks. I wouldn't mind going around doing some service jobs, fixing stuff like that, channel markers and buoys and beacons, with maybe a boat such as this, but a bit smaller that can run up against stuff like that. That would be cool. So far, I don't know if that is a thing or not, but it's also neat that you get damage on the craft overall. Now, like I mentioned, it is a bit high, you know, but it's cool nonetheless. Now, one of the big downsides is, if you've noticed looking around, there is no AI. I have seen zero AI. This is a massive fishery, not only in this part of the world, but the world in general. Now, yes, there are tons of boats in the harbor, but you see none out at sea. In Misc Games' previous 2 fishing games, you would see boats all the time. Hell, I would run into them all the time with navigation. That being said, leading to navigation, currently there is none. There is no autopilot. In their previous fishing games, you would, let's see, get your route set up here. Say you were going out to some fishing grounds, and you'd click a button, and it would literally fast forward time, and your boat would follow your nav. Your markers. It would be autopilot. That took out the ass whoop feeling of having to sit here for half an hour and go numerous, you know, nautical miles out to sea and just sitting here literally doing nothing, especially if you're in a low-end boat, which, like the Slippy, I believe, the low-end fishing boat, it starts with like 7 or 8 knots. That's it. Now, sadly, the game is not going to come out with autopilot, so you can get out to your fishing grounds, you know, quickly and get back to harbor or home base quickly either. They are supposed to update that. Fingers crossed, I hope. I feel like that's one of the biggest letdowns of the game right now. When you're starting out and just doing stuff close by, it's not that big of a deal, but it's going to be very, very necessary overall. Let's see, we also need field of view settings. Sadly, there is no field of view settings. I mean, this is pretty much it here. As far as you can see, I've got everything pretty much maxed out. I do have DLSS with quality enabled. Field of view would be nice. I feel like inside the ship, especially, or the boat, when you're like this, it's just kind of hard to see things sometimes. The other issue is the HUD. So you can see the HUD, you know, how fast you're going, how much fuel you got, whether whether you're going fore or aft on the thrust or the throttle, but you can't see how you're turning, right? You can't see where you're turning. You can't see your rudder at all. You can't see the positioning of the rudder. I mean, you can kind of look under the water, but that's a bit unrealistic. So something that would be nice is if they added an actual rudder graphic on the heads-up display down there in the bottom right, just like, you know, all that other stuff down there, just so you can kind of see where you've got your rudder. I'm also not crazy about how it defaults back to dead ahead either, instead of kind of slowly moving back to whatever direction you're going in. I've also run into some problems with the sea and the swell itself, where sometimes the protected harbors are just insane wavy, whereas you'll be out at sea like this and it's almost glass. I feel like that's flipped and they need to fix that. It's like the other way around. You do have sonar. and depth finders and things like that. I don't currently have that on this boat. I think it showed some of the footage earlier when I was doing the long line, so it's going to show you where you're going to want to fish. Yeah, just overall, it's, you know, it's nice to have a lot of the stuff that they had in the previous games, but if you didn't play or have any of the previous games, you're not really going to know much better. It would also be nice to have an extra crew. So there's obviously the multiplayer portion of that, but I'm talking about within single player, because within their previous 2 fishing games, again, which I've referenced for the 100th time, you had crew that you can hire. They had specialties. They worked. You had to feed them. One of them had to cook. It was pretty darn neat. It was almost like an RTS or builder, if you will, just within a fishing game. So I very much enjoyed that. As of right now, it's pretty bare bones. You got to do everything yourself. So you want to haul some gear in that's been soaking for a day or so. You got to put it at about, you know, dead slow, run out, jump over on the starboard, and then try and grab the buoy or get the equipment going to haul the stuff up. And it could just be a bit much. Now, the licensing and the class-based stuff right now, how you level up, is a bit of a slog and a chore, so you're going to have to grind that a bit. That would be nice if that was lessened as well. Let's see. Oh, the ambience. So there's no real seabirds. Like, you don't really see any seabirds, you know, gulls and things like that. I feel like you hear them in the menu, but nowhere else, or maybe back at port. But out at sea like this, especially when you're fishing, birds show up. That's just what they do. They're looking for a handout. They want a free meal. You know, it'd be cool to see stuff like that every now and then, or just randomly, you know, a whale coming up for some air or something like that. You know, just something out at sea just to liven it up a bit, like the AI. So I feel like we do need some birds. The crane controls are a bit clunky as is right now for loading cargo. So you've got different types of cargo, small, medium, and large. You will need to use the crane, but to use the crane, you will need crane skills. So that could be kind of touched on a little bit as well, just making that you know, a bit more smooth overall. But you know, this honestly isn't a bad little game. It's not a bad little start. It's got some good bones, a good foundation to it, and it does look incredible. This is just a visually pleasing game. And that it's, you know, maritime based and boat based, ship based is very cool, because we've kind of been lacking something like this in the last, Jesus, decade probably. I mean, there have been a couple of ship or boat based games out there, but this is on another level. And for what you got right now, you know, some might see it as bare bones, but it's a good cornerstone to kind of build upward with. But I'm having quite a bit of fun with it. I've moved on to kind of fishing from the cargo. I can't wait to get on and play with some friends. But it's not a bad little game. Ships at Sea by Misc Games. Once again, thank you to the devs for hooking me up with a key to check this thing out. I have been an eager beaver looking forward to this thing. I hope you enjoyed the video, found it somewhat informative if you're looking forward to picking this up for yourself. And like I said in the beginning, down below underneath the video, you can go and check out a link. You literally go right to the page. There's no extra BS. You put in your, I think you put in your email, and that is it. You could win a free key to this game, releasing on May the 23rd of 2024. But that's going to be it, guys. Thanks for watching.